All right. Fantastic. So I think you guys are pretty good at using those special angles created by transversal to create equations when we have parallel lines. So now we're going to basically use the idea in reverse to prove that lines are parallel. So we are starting the proof side of all of this stuff. So we had special phrases that we were using to justify stuff. And one of those phrases was like, if parallel lines, alternate interior angles are congruent. All right, so we had lots of phrases like this, right? If we have parallel lines, then alternate interior angles are congruent. If parallel lines, alternate exterior angles are congruent. We had all these phrases, right? Well, now we're going to be looking at the converses of all of these things. And ladies and gentlemen, we talked about converses in the last unit, right? So what does a converse do? It switches your if and your then. It switches the conclusion and hypothesis. So now we're reversing these things and looking at the converse of them. So instead of if parallel lines, then alternate interior angles are congruent, we're going to switch it. Now we're using the phrase, hey, if alternate interior angles are congruent, then we must have parallel lines. All right? So now we're using it to prove lines are parallel. So if I have congruent alternate interior angles, then I know I must also have parallel lines. So same thing, reversed. So now we're doing it to prove lines parallel. So we have the corresponding angles converse. If two lines are cut by a transversal so that a pair of corresponding angles are congruent. So again, I'm going to shorten this. If corresponding angles congruent, then parallel lines. It's easy, right? What would you rather memorize? Corresponding angles converse? Or simply, if corresponding angles are congruent, then we got parallel lines. I'd rather do that. It's more specific, right? Tells us exactly what we need to know. All right, if corresponding angles are congruent, then we have parallel lines. So, for example, in this picture, give me two corresponding angles. 2 and 6. Angle 2 and angle 6. So if angle 2 is congruent to angle 6, then what do we know? We have parallel lines. Which lines are parallel? L and M. Then L is parallel to M. So line L is parallel to line N. Perfect. All right. The alternate interior angles converse. So if we have a pair of alternate interior angles are congruent, then lines are parallel. So again, I'm going to shorten that. If alternate interior angles congruent, then we have parallel lines. If alternate interior angles are congruent, then we have parallel lines. So ladies and gentlemen, give me a pair of alternate interior angles. 3 and 5, sure. Angle 3 and angle 5. So if angle 3 is congruent to angle 5, so those are alternate interior angles, then what do we know? Parallel lines. L is parallel to line M. Line L is parallel to line M. All right, we also have the exterior angles converse. So again, if alternate exterior angles are congruent, then we have parallel lines. So if alternate exterior angles are congruent, then we have parallel lines. Give me some alternate exterior angles. 1 and 7, sure. And that's not the only pair, but if angle 1 is congruent to angle 7, then L is going to be parallel to M. Then I have some parallel lines. All right, we also have the supplements here. Which things are supplementary? same side, they say consecutive interior angles, but we were using same side. So if same side interior angles are supplementary, then we have parallel lines. So if same side interior angles are supplementary, then we have parallel lines. Give me some same side interior angles. 4 and 5. So here we have 4 and 5. So how do we write that? What does it mean to be supplementary? If they equal 180, so if they sum to 180. So if the measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 5 equals 180 degrees, then L must be parallel to M. If the measure of angle 4 plus the measure of angle 5 equals 180, then L is parallel to M. All right, and then we have consecutive exterior angles. So if same side exterior angles are sup, then we have parallel lines. If same side exterior angles are supplementary, then we have parallel lines. Give me an example of same side exterior angles. 1 and 8. Sure, I'm going to give those a little star, angle 1 and angle 8. So if the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 8 equals 180 degrees, then L must be parallel to M. All right. So we are using all of these reasons today to prove that lines are parallel. All right, which is basically the reverse of what we've been doing all the time. Okay, so okay, nice. So let's look here. We want to determine if L is parallel to M based on the information given in the diagram. Again, we have to be given the information. We have to make a logical conclusion based on what they're telling us. If yes, state the converse that proves the lines are parallel. So example number 1 here. Tell me about these angles.
That they are alternate exterior angles and they're congruent to each other.
Okay. So these are, so are the lines parallel?
Yes.
Yes, they are parallel. Yes, parallel. If alternate exterior angles are congruent, then parallel lines. And 63 is equal to 63. All right. What about number 2? What kind of angles are those?
Corresponding.
Corresponding. What do these arc marks mean? They're congruent. So are the lines parallel?
Yes.
Yes. So we've got yes, parallel lines. And if corresponding angles are congruent, then we have parallel lines. I'm just using the arrow for then. Right? What about number 3? What do we got going on there?
They're not parallel.
Same side exterior. So what are they supposed to be? Equal to 180. So let's see. 48 plus 132. Oh, that equals 180. 48 plus 132 equals 180. All right. So if same side exterior angles are sup, then we have parallel lines. So yes, we have parallel lines. Look at number 4. What do we have there? Yeah, these are vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent. Does it give us parallel lines?
No.
No, it doesn't. They don't even touch this line L, right? Like there's no interaction there. Maybe the side of this angle crosses line L, but it's not part of line L. And so this does not give us parallel lines. I'm going to write not parallel. Okay. What about number 5? What kind of angles are those? Yep. Yes. So alternate interior angles are congruent. So if alternate interior angles congruent, then we have parallel lines. And what about number 6? What?
Or wait, it doesn't equal 180.
It doesn't equal 180. So these are same side interior. 65 plus 125 does not equal 180 degrees, right? It's convincing that it does, right? It's 190 though. I love that. I think that's great. So these are not parallel lines. So we do have to be a little bit careful, making sure things add to what they're supposed to. So that's 190 is certainly not the same as 180. But they're close enough. It'd be pretty convincing. Like, you could maybe convince yourself. All right, super duper. Questions so far? Pretty good. Pretty good. I don't want to do all of these. Let's just give them a number 8. Oh no, actually, let's do number 7 because I like the picture better. Mostly because when you look at this picture, we're trying to figure out, determine which lines are parallel and what lines, just looking at the picture, and this is never justification. It looks like it is never okay. Okay. But just glancing at the picture, what lines appear to be parallel? A and B appear to be parallel, and what about the C and D could possibly be parallel? All right, so we really need to look carefully and make sure we're really justifying what we intend to justify. So let's look here, angle 2 and angle 4. So here's angle 2, and it says angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. All right, I've marked those angles on there, which I think is really, really helpful. They're congruent. They're telling us that they're congruent. What kind of angles are those? Corresponding. So corresponding angles are congruent. If corresponding angles are congruent, what do we know? Then we have parallel lines. What are the parallel lines?
C and D.
C and D. A is the transversal. That's transversing, going across both parallel lines. So A is the transversal, crossing our 2 parallel lines. Okay? So we have to be able to recognize which lines are parallel. So C would be parallel to D. All right, let's look at number B here. Angle 5 is congruent to angle 10. So here's angle 5 is congruent to angle 10. All right, what kind of angles are those? Alternate interior. All right, if alternate interior angles are congruent, what do we get? Parallel lines. Which lines?
A and B.
A and B, yes. A is parallel to B. What line is the transversal? C is the transversal. C is the line that's crossing the 2 parallel lines. So C is the transversal. A and B are our parallel lines. Good. All right, let's see. The measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 13. So here's angle 1 and angle 13. Add to be 180 degrees. That's good. What's that mean? Supplementary. Okay, so
same side equals
same side, interior, exterior.
Or exterior.
Exterior. If same side exterior angles are sup, then again we get parallel lines. Which lines are parallel? A and B, yep. Again, C is the transversal crossing 2 parallel lines. So A is parallel to B. All right. Let's look at E. On letter E, the measure of angle 14 plus the measure of angle 15 adds to be 180. What kind of angles are those? Same side interior. Okay, so if same side interior angles are sup, then again we get parallel lines. What are the parallel lines?
C and D.
Mm-hmm.
And then D would be our transversal.
Yes, good. So C and D are parallel to one another, and that's the interior of our 2 parallel lines. And then B is the transversal that's crossing the 2 parallel lines. So C is parallel to D. Cool. Tell me, let's look at number F. Number F. 11 is congruent to 16. What kind of angles are those?
Vertical.
Yeah, those are vertical angles. And they are congruent to each other. That's a very true statement. But does it give us parallel lines? No, it doesn't. It only touches two lines. All right, we're not touching two parallel lines and a transversal. So those are just two intersecting lines. It leaves everything out. So there is no parallel lines there. All right, any questions so far? All right, what about, okay, angle 6 is congruent to angle 11. Angle 6 is congruent to angle 11 here. Tell me about those.
It would be alternate interior.
So I see, like, angle 11 here has a side from line B and line D. So those two lines, B and D, make up the sides of angle 11, right? But the sides of angle 6 come from C and A, lines C and A. They don't have a transversal touching both of them. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Okay. These two aren't related using one of our theorems. Okay. So this doesn't give us any parallel lines. They don't have a special name because there's not a transversal connecting both of them. Okay. So that would not work for us. All right. What do you think? You think you got it pretty good here?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right. So let's just bust down here to the transitive property. If two lines are parallel to the same line, then they must be parallel to each other. So this basically is very, very similar to our transitive property we've been working with since last unit. So if P is parallel to Q, and then Q is parallel to R, then it must be true that P is parallel to R. Okay, so it's that chain link sort of that we're doing. If P is to Q and Q is to R, then P must go to R as well. So this is just the transitive property applied to parallel lines. And so it says for number 9, if A is parallel to C, and so I'm going to mark on my picture that I do know I have two parallel lines, that A is parallel to C. State which other lines are parallel and why. All right, so let's look here. I know that line A is parallel to line C. What you got, Cash?
Line B and line C are parallel because of the 96 and 84 being same side interior. Their measure would have to equal to 180.
So B is parallel. Okay, so 96 and 84. So those two angles, you're saying they add to 180? Yeah. Okay, so 84 plus 96 adds to be 180. That was some pretty quick math, sir. I didn't get that. Very good. So that's a 7 and then a 10. Okay, great. So those are, now you used the wrong phrase. What kind of angles are those? So ignoring A and D, so just looking at those two pink angles that I marked there, what type of angles are those?
They're same side.
Same side exterior, yes. If same side exterior angles are sup, then we do have parallel lines. So you were right, B is parallel to C, And it's because those two angles add to be 180 and they're same side exterior. Very good. All right. Let's see. The 108 and the 62, do they help us out at all?
No.
No, that gets us 170. So that's not helpful at all. But hey, look, I know if A is parallel to C and B is parallel to C, then what must be true?
B is parallel to A.
Yeah. B must be parallel to A by the transitive property. By the transitive property. So again, if A is parallel to C and C is parallel to B, then A gets to go directly to B. All right. And so that's the other transitive property. Okay. Cool. Do you have questions for me? All right. Today we have a little cut and paste worksheet to do. That's the glue I borrowed from Mr. Morrison. And I have scissors, though I will say they're fairly crappy. And so let me explain this worksheet before I pass it out to you. So it's 2 pages, obviously, because it's a cut and paste. One of these is going to be cut up and the other is... So what we can see here is we have the page with your name on it. So there's where your name goes. And then we have which lines are parallel. Is A parallel to B, C parallel to D? So that's what we're trying to figure out. Which lines are parallel and by what reasoning? Is it the corresponding angles converse? What's the corresponding angles converse? If corresponding angles are congruent, then parallel lines. Alternate interior angles. If alternate interior angles are congruent, then parallel lines. Alternate exterior. That's fancy lingo for? Oh, alternate exterior. That's the same thing. What about consecutive interior? Same side interior. Angles are supplementary, then parallel lines. So we're trying to figure out which lines are parallel. The second page here is the page we're going to cut out. And so, like, for instance, here on number 1, on this first box here, I'm going to rotate the page so I get a little nicer angle here. Again, alternating your perspective can help a lot here. So just looking at this first little box here, tell me about those marked angles. Alternate interior, and they're congruent, which means which lines are parallel? C is parallel to D. And so you cut out this box, and in C is parallel to D, we've used the alternate interior angles converse. So it's going to be pasted right here. Okay? Does that make sense to you? All right. I thought that was kind of fun. So I'm going to pass that out to you. And